time has come for something new. Something to change the game. When seeking fortunes at the fringes of civilization, you need someone you can trust. In this age of uncertainty, it's time to take back your strength. It's time to release the Kraken.
That hab might be very close to the city, or you might have to take a train out to your habs.
To your habs, yes, exactly. And you'll sort of see the scale when we get out to the city. Want to hold your items, but let's go. I don't know. It's kind of let's get a cup of Joe.
Yep. This is actually going to be showing off our. This is a more in-depth interaction system and how this can lead to missions, because we want you to pick up things. We want you to interact with the world and be able to look around and hunt for clues and those types of things.
The common area of the hab, we're on, I believe, hab L19.
L19 residences.
Right, yeah. So on the AI side, we'll see more of it we go on, but it's the early days of the AI going about their lives. There's a lot more that's going to come in. We have this usable system, I think we've talked about in the past, that longer term is what allows the AI to do everything from playing an arcade game to sweeping the floor to having a drink.
Well, even allowing the player to do the same thing.
Yeah, and the player, you can use the same systems and animations. Head out.
I think this area holds 100 habs.
Yeah, so each building holds 100 habs.
Yeah.
So as more players come online and they would start in Lorville, we would actually have more of these buildings that would be populated. Yeah. So here we are, we're out here. This is looking out the vista onto Lorville. See a fair amount of security. And
we have the spaceport across the way.
Yeah, Tessa Spaceport is the main spaceport of Lorville that's coming. And you can't see if we ship, but there should be ships coming and going, as well as players. So we have ships that are actually coming out of quantum travel in orbit and coming down, landing on the pad or taking off. But I didn't see any one of them. But that's because it's also systemic. So it doesn't always happen on cue because it's not scripted. You would get on, say, the job boards.
I love that poster.
Yeah, the hammerhead.
So every now and then?
Yeah, and we're in an active city, so we actually have full trains of transit.
Yep. They don't.
Hey.
I just went by.
Okay.
You all right?
That's the light flickering.
You want a drink or something? I need a drink.
So over here, we've got Maria of Heart. This goes back to player status and kind of the idea behind Death of the Spaceman, where when you die, this is where you'll, or die, this is where you'll come back. You'll respawn here.
Yeah.
And then also when you get injured and the med pin takes you back to a certain percentage, and then it will fade over time, and then you'll need to actually get fixed up here, whether it's at a hospital or by the Apollo or Endeavor.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the idea is the med pen is a short-term solution that stops bleeding and lets you operate for a little while, but if you don't go and get longer term fixed up, the bleeding will come back and you'll eventually die. So even with med pens, you still need to go back and get medical help and fix yourself up, just like repairing you're like a ship, you repair yourself. So here we are, reclamation and disposal. Invite about work, let's ask about that.
It's an excellent question. If you're not particularly concerned with shades of morality, I may have a lead on some, well, let's just call it questionable materials in need of forceful collection. The devil's in the details, I believe. Read them well.
Okay, there's a satellite that's fallen from orbit, and it has a prototype blade in it we want to
Interested?
check out. Yeah, let's do it.
Wonderful. Best of luck.
Either go to the perimeter line, which will take us to the outskirts, or we can take the spaceport line, which is going to take us into TSS spaceport. So that's where we need to go to get our ship.
To Metro Center. Transfers to the perimeter spaceport.
There's 6 different gates that the player can enter into the city, and plus the spaceport. So it gives you just kind of the idea of the scale of the city.
And all these trains run on a schedule. So actually, if we take a look, we can see above, train arriving in 103 seconds. What about the other track? Look at the other track. Train arriving. Come on, little trainee. There you go. See, in Star Citizen, the trains do run on time.
This one started...
We may crash.
Yeah.
We may do some other stuff, but our trains definitely run on time.
So the AI in the future will be able to transition between the spaceport and L19. Right now they don't, so it will be a...
Yeah, you'd have a train, people getting on, getting off,
Yeah.
sitting down in the seats, just like you would get a normal commuter train. So the usable system, the new usable systems only just come online. And it's one of the reasons why you're not seeing that many of the actions that are going. But this is all physically real. We are traveling in Lorville, and you can see out. You look back, you see the tracks, right? And that's the Hurston Dynamics building, which is 4 kilometers high. Lorville itself is about 24 kilometers in sort of diameter, the main area of it. Over to your ship. So the long-term goal is to have the AI in the place, give it a sense of life, give it a sense of operation. So they're coming out to refuel your ship, coming out to fix it up.
Your journey begins now. All systems operational.
All right, let's landing in the hangars. So let's take off.
Launch complete.
So we're also introducing a restricted zone.
So you can see the sort of red area, which is like until you're after a certain height, you can't fly on. Here we are. That's the Kraken that we were looking out on.
Over there, right there is
L19,
where you
right?
spawned. So this gives you a good sense of scale.
City of this sort of scale.
I think Ian increased the size of the building quite a lot too.
Yeah, but you get a sense of just how big the main Hurston building is. And the goal is in 3.4, or just after it, this opens up as a whole separate area that you take a train to go visit in. Okay.
So the goal for scanning, obviously, is to give you a general area that you need to go and scan in. You need to ping. And then from there, it's about hunting and finding what you need to actually do. So we found it, because Glenn knows where to go.
Well, we went to the general mission marker and then we scanned it.
Yes, but you saw it.
We are down on the ground. Let's go check this thing.
Turn it off.
Make sure we have a few weapons just in case. And pistol, ammo. Right. Well, that's, okay, let's do it.
So this is a Savannah. Very different biome from what you guys saw before and what you've seen in our game.
I think next time you fall, you should probably med pen before you take the next jump.
You got it.
All right.
So again, you're looking for a prototype blade. And this goes to the tactileness that we want. Is that the right one?
It says
Nope.
TDC 470. No,
Nope.
we needed a TDC prototype. Let's show the tail side gunner as well, I guess. Cut to camera 3. There we go. So this is the Anvil Valkyrie, and it is the first
Camera 2.
first straight to flyable ship that we've done. So it's a Anvil dropship, and it's going to feature also in Squadron 42, and this will launch with 3.3. There we go. Okay. All right, what's up, buddy? All right, thank you very much, hey? Should we do a little talkie? You guys got the FOIP on or not? You got the FOIP on, I was wondering.
Why don't player 1 and player 3 have a little fun?
Yeah. Okay. And this is I guess, the military, the version of the Tumbrel Cyclone, which is also going live with 3.3.
Yep.
So we have this, the racing version, I think the missile version. Do we? I can't remember what that's.
I think all versions of them are going.
So
Yes.
this is the very first example of underground systems. So we're going to have underground facilities, caves, other kind of things. And this particular one, this happens to be a kind of, I don't know, waste storage.
I think it was used for refining.
Refining,
and,
right?
Well, we'll go check it out.
So let's go
You
down.
guys are too good a shot. You left nothing for us.
What's that? What do you say?
Too good a shot.
Oh, yeah. All right, well, let's go in, down to the facility. It'll be like operating in a real-world fire group. So I think here is where the TDC is. I swear that was so worth it before. It's so annoying that it changes. All right, prototype TDC XX. Okay, and we've recovered the blade now. Back to player one. So again, this sort of gives you an idea of the perimeter and the scale of the city.
Later, yeah?
Meet you there.
Yeah, you can appreciate the size and the scale of Lorville. So we're now down on the foot. You can sort of look up, if you look up, Glenn. It's pretty big, and this is what you fly in and out of. I mean, I think one of the nice things with Star Citizen is just the sense of scale that you get, but also the sense of detail when you're down there on foot. So it's all the, you can see things, you can interact with them in your hand. We've got millimeter precision for that, but we've got scale that goes to billions of kilometers. All right. Just get this through here, we should be okay. Not getting custom interviewed, but longer term, again, we're saying the law and order system, scanning.
Keep it going, people.
You try and sneak through things, maybe a scan sets off something, you get taken to the interview
customs.
Yeah, and here's the use of the sort of Dropbox stuff that we're putting into 3.3, so as well as admins that you can pick up and drop things from. This is also allowing you to drop off stuff, so this is sort of a drop that we're going to do, which is to complete our mission.
Clovis doesn't like to get his hands dirty.
Yeah, exactly.
The use of weapons within
deniability.
Your
So we just place it.
paramount to us.
That done.
So in this slide, I'm showing basically an empty scene. It's just a block out. There's nothing really in there. And I'm just layering it up with different types of effects. So we've got lightning, and then we're bringing in volumetric fog. On top of the fog, there's going to be extra particles. I'll even bring some more in. GPU, screen space collision, get some cool noise, get some gravity, etc., etc. And we'll even throw in some screen effects as well. Previously, we were able to create really nice lightning effects, but we didn't really have a lot of control over them. We could basically place them, and that was pretty much it. Leave them to it. They were also really expensive to use. So from the point of view of needing control, we developed several new options to allow us to do so. So another cool thing about actually doing this on the GPU particle system is it's so easy to dynamically edit the settings. This is just an example of me playing around with a few attributes in the particle effect itself to really quickly and easily change the appearance of the lightning when required. So this is going to be a really powerful tool for the artists and design as well. That looks a little bit weird, that one, but yeah, this is just showing that you can do lots of cool things with it, basically. You're just limited by your imagination.
So I'll show you a quick little level of some of the characters that we've been working on. This is including, I don't think this has any clones, there might be a couple. Some of our characters wear duplicated costumes or uniforms, which is one of the ways we get around not having to make bespoke assets for every single character. So you're going to see some in here. You're going to see in the keynote, I think we are just past, or there he is. There's Clovis Darnley right in the middle. And each one of these is going to use stuff that we're talking about today, because it's all of our character stuff, kind of just showing you the amount of characters on screen that we're handling at one time as well.
So here's some Vandal armor, and you can see that the mask here, rather than being in solid chunks, is actually got blends between multiple different materials together. This is, again, just a visualization of where the layers are, and this is the finished product once we've got all them layers blended together. So you can see all the subtle variations in the metal, and you can see how detailed all the individual textures are. And this is the 5 layers that go into that particular armor. And you can see individually they'll look great on their own, but then once they're put together, you really get the top quality.
We use 3, and we combine elements of the 3 to create 1 or variations on that 1. So here you see some front and backs of our medium marine and our heavy marine, both of which have been playable for a little while. And in the middle, you'll also see some feedback. So here you can see it says, maybe that helmet is too bulky. Maybe the legs are too bulky. So on this, we can also start doing feedback as well and doing kind of final iterations to move on before we go to the high poly stage, or also just handing it off to character art. So next is the high poly stage. This is where character art.
Earlier, it's one of the Hurston security with some brand new cloth text that we're using. And you can see that the poly counts are whatever, right? So they're pretty high, and it means we have to deal with every single one of these vertices. This is why Tech Artist actually really cares about that budget, because every single vert they add is a vert that we have to skin, right? And you can see that it gets pretty damn granular. Now, we can start off pretty basically, where we actually project from our naked mail, from our base mail, onto the armor, but then it's going to just look like a wetsuit or something that's literally attached to the skin. And this is where the trickery comes in. We've got to blend weights. All the different colors are basically different weights, different bones that are on that particular one, how many weights there are on it, which bone it's attached to. And then we can have really hard things that are like along the spine. If we're moving our shoulders back or we're moving our arms up, that's just another level of complexity that we have to deal with. So what they do is they touch up the skin from the projection, and then we have to run a ROM on it. What's a ROM? It's a range of motion. So we have an animation that we can just load up really quickly, and we can run them through all their paces, literally a running pace or walking, or we even have one that actually goes through a huge range of motion. Basically everything that a game character could do, and we even go a little bit further with some of this stuff, because of course we have things like VoIP and runtime ringing, so you can sometimes do things that we're not necessarily expecting.
But for us, we were looking, okay, what was going to define the experience? That's the big vision of Star Citizen. And really for us, when we hit these milestones, then for us we say, okay, I think this will be the core experience and tech that will deliver the vision of Star Citizen. So we can go, oh, look at that. Does it go back? Oh, it's working now, so here you go. So the very first one was the ability to be inside a ship, right? So it's not just a cockpit, it's an actual fully real, tactile, physicalized ship that has engine room, beds, toilets, mess hall, whatever you would imagine to be in a ship of that particular size. And there we go. And we did that. That was the very beginning thing that we did, the hangar module, which we did back in 13. The next was space combat, which was about, okay, I'm going to get in my ship, I'm going to fly around, I'm going to dogfight, which I'm pretty sure you guys remember is what we did with Arena Commander. The next key technical milestone was the 64-bit floating precision, so moving from 32-bit to 64-bit, so we can have sort of millimeter resolution and going all the way to billions of kilometers, which is what we need for Star Citizen, because we model entire star systems that have to be billions of kilometers across, but we need millimeter visual precision because you're right up there looking at your cockpit in first. Then the next key element to the gameplay we wanted was having the ability to earn money and have a level of persistence, which was I can go out and I can earn some money, I can buy some things, I log off, I come back on, I've still got those things. Unification of the character, and we've talked about it a lot, but it's, most first-person games cheat, and they have very different animations and models for first-person to third-person, and then when they have their multiplayer, say, battle mode, they have limited amount of actions that you can see on a third-person player character that's doing, because it's very difficult to sync up the actions. But for us, since it's going to be an MMO with thousands of people, you can be sitting right next to your friend, and he's interacting with the dashboard just like you are, so you're seeing him do the same thing in third person that you're doing in first person. Also, where our guns actually aim is where the gun is really aiming. It's not sort of cheating at where the mouse cursor is. The planet tech. So you can see the planet or the moon, and you can go there, and you can walk around it. You can explore every single inch. So there's no fake loading screens. There's no transition down to it. There's no go down, you can only land on a certain area. And that was the procedural planet tech, which we debuted, go forward, with 3.0. And the other big thing was location persistence, which is the ability that you go to a location, you log out, you come back, you're at that location. You're not starting back at where you started before. The next big thing, which is where we're at right now, is object container streaming and bind culling. And this is actually a massive thing. I think we've talked about it. We thought originally when we scheduled it out, it was going to take about 6 months. It's been about 18 months of solid development on it. And as you all know, bind culling has been something that we've had on our roadmap, and it's been pushed back and pushed back, pushed back. And that wasn't necessarily because we wanted to push it back. It was mostly because it turned out both the object container streaming and the bind culling needs object container streaming to really make sense. And object container streaming was incredibly complicated because we had to re-engineer most of the game engine itself, because for object container streaming to work at our scale where we're moving around, we have to be able to stream in the objects and textures and models and all the data and initialize them all. This is the first use of the object container streaming and the bind culling tech. It makes a massive difference in terms of performance because you're only worrying about having the part of the world that's relevant to your character. The next big sort of pillar is the ability to either buy or rent ships. And that's because the game loop is essentially going around earning money. So there's various ways to earn money. There will be more ways to earn money as we flesh out the professions. But once we earn the money, we want to spend it on something. So there's only so many suits of armor or guns you can buy. And the core sort of upgrade loop in the game is really the ships. The ships allow you to do bigger and better things. And the organization system, so we already have a version of it online, but this is the organization system inside the game. So you can get your org mates together, you can do things like assign out roles or missions or cost share or revenue share, specify ties for the group, or however you would like to organize it into different pods or modules for communication reasons. Full persistence is the next big thing. It's the 11th thing of the pillars we think. So full persistence, we talked a little bit about it at the beginning of the day, but full persistence is the ability for you to go anywhere in the universe and, me drop this remote on the floor. Doesn't work, so I might as well drop it. There you go, right? And then I'm going to walk away, right? I'm going to walk out here. It's going to stream out. It's gone. And then I decide, you know what? I really want my remote again. And then it's going to remember that I dropped it. It's going to stream it back in, even if it was on the surface of a planet. And it'll be there, and I can pick it up in first person. Being able to store and manage stuff. So the more you play, the more stuff you collect. If you're a hoarder, then you'll probably want to get a bigger room and space. And the other aspect of full persistence is the aspect of age, wear, and tear. So, I long time ago talked about Death of a Spaceman. That's very much on our roadmap and plan. And it's the ability for items, as they get used, to get wear. Things age. You as a character will age. If we go forward, Paul. is server meshing. So when we get server meshing, that is, we think, the last piece of the puzzle to have the full game experience. And this is our ability to go, right now we have about 50 players on a server. We probably will be able to increase that number because of bind coloring and stuff. But it's still going to cap out at a certain level. With server meshing, we'll be able to get to thousands of players playing concurrently in the same locations, star systems. They're not all going to be able to have 1,000 people dogpiling together. They won't be able to render it all at the same time. But you certainly will be able to have 1,000 people on the planet of Hurston, for instance. So the server meshing is the last key piece, because that will allow us to have a truly massively populated universe. One extra thing we're going to do, and I don't think any other company that operates an online game does this, or I'm not aware of someone that does this, but we collect telemetry on, obviously, all the servers and all the clients that are connected to us. And so we get a good idea of what the frame rates are, what the machine specs are, what the latency is, what the load times are. And we've often had debates, because we see a lot of anecdotal, frame rate sucks, and everybody's frame rate sucks. And we're like, well, we're watching the data, and that's not exactly what our data says. So we decided that we wanted to give all you guys the ability to track the telemetry yourselves. So what we have is you can go into the website. This will release for 3.3, and we will have live telemetry on 3.3 going forward. You'll be able to see your machine, so where you start in the CPU score, where you sit in the GPU, it will tell you what your stats are. And we're going to be tracking, not all this stuff gets tracked right away, but we're planning on tracking the latency and the loading times. You'll see the crashes, and then you can track yourself against the heat map of everybody playing the game and see where you land, and see also kind of what the specs are here.